And we're back with another episode of Mess to Mission. And my friend Michelle actually does a little bit of what I do in the whole business entrepreneur world. So we are catching up today and kind of going through her Mess to Mission story. So I'm super excited to have her on. We were actually talking just about a little bit of entrepreneurial struggle prior to hitting record. But Michelle, thank you so much for being here and tell the audience a little bit about you.
Yeah, I love your podcast. I love the topic of it, mess to mission. I think that's such a beautiful way to sum up entrepreneurship. So I am so excited to be here. My name is Michelle DeNio. I'm a business growth strategist. And for me, what I really focus on and what's so important is really just helping business owners to one step out of that operator role and step into and see themselves as business owners, not just a website, designer or just a graphic designer, but it's a business owner that offers web design type services. So that's one of my big missions. And then also to just helping people to create a strategy that is rooted in data and facts, not rooted in emotion and shoulds. And somebody else said I should do this. So here's where I'm at, but really building a business that's in alignment that can grow and in scale strategically because it's being scaled from fact and data.
So that's so many good things in there because one of the first things I tell people is I'm like, what are your numbers? People aren't tracking, they're like terrified to know like what their revenue was, what their expenses were. They don't have a bookkeeping system or they couldn't even tell you anything about like website data or all of that. So kind of tell us a little bit about maybe either how you encourage them to do that or start that journey. And then tell us a little bit about how you even learned yourself to do these things or to get where you are today.
Yeah. So my background, in my corporate world, previous life was accounting and operations and production. So I worked in manufacturing.
Accounting is like, "Ugh," to me, but
Yeah.
I appreciate your efforts.
Yeah. It's not my favorite pastime, but it's like one of those things where I was good at it. My mom did accounting. And so I went into it. But really, I did a lot on the production management side in manufacturing. And everything with that is rooted in like, what do we have? How long is it going to take? What materials do we need? You know what I mean? It was this constant game of like borrowing from Peter to pay Paul because of inventory and just all of that. And so everything was very strategic. So to me, it was like, what can we do in this amount of time that we have because we have employees that need to be kept busy and we have these amount of orders that need to go out, right? So the strategy there, but then also looking at from just straight facts there, we had sales guys that would sell something and as long as it was a sale, it was good. And I'm over here like, yeah, but do you realize how much time and money we just spent? Like we actually just lost our ass on that. Like we didn't make any money. So that was always my role was cash management and inventory. So those skills to me just transferred into business because that was how I was brought up. That was like my job right out of college. And so there was no other way. It was just, it's fact. There wasn't a lot of emotion into it because business was run on facts. So you either have the material or you don't. You either made money or you didn't. You either kept the customer client or happy or you didn't, right? Like everything was just rooted in fact and data. And so that's kind of just where I've come from and how I've just continued to incorporate that into my business.
I relate to that on such a heavy level because I was a hotelier forever. So I helped open hotels. I was in the operations. And you know who was like my biggest enemy? And I don't mean that actually, but like sales. So you oversell hotel rooms in hopes of cancellations. Well, what happens when the people don't cancel is the operation people, there's no rooms. And that's your fact. You have 20 extra guests coming in on a sold out night and there's no place for them to sleep. So, there's a lot of strategy of moving people. And there's like rules behind it. So like if there's a certain hotel tier, you can't like technically in the program can't move them to another hotel. And so there's a lot of anger towards sales
Yeah.
on those nights because you're like, the sale is the sale. That's great. But like, hello, where are they going to sleep? Like, that doesn't make any sense strategically because unless they're going to be in the restaurant, like hanging out on place that we cook, like, where are they gonna go to bed?
Yeah.
So I empathize with that truly and deeply and trying to manage all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and and then from, my mess to mission, I would say, it started just from a move. I was originally living in New York. We were born and raised upstate New Yorkers, and my husband and I moved and we just uprooted our entire lives for a multitude of reasons, but moved down to Florida expecting to step into that same exact role that we had up in New York, right? Like very advanced careers, top tier. And we got we got really a dose of reality very quickly in that, we moved from an area that was real heavy on manufacturing to an area that was very heavy on hospitality, and neither one of us had that experience. And so we went from, you know, really high up to like bottom of the barrel. I mean, I called it glorified data entry. It wasn't even accounting at that point, for me. And so I just really got to this point of like, I didn't work this hard to get this far, to build up my skills and to have this amount of knowledge in my brain to literally be pushing papers around. Like, I'm just not going to do it. And I didn't even know that like business ownership was a thing. I've always loved making money on the side. I always viewed business ownership as like side hustles. Like, how can there's a million ways to make money in this world and I'm going to find them all. Right. And so I just started networking and I picked and started, picking at this and trying this and having all these conversations. And finally, somebody looked at me and was like, I don't understand why you do not charge for your time. And I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" She was like, "Do you realize how much advice you just gave me? Like, nobody's ever sat down with me and really had me, like, help me look at my business in this way. Like, I don't understand why you're not charging for it." And so, yeah, that's where it was born. And that was kind of the mess there of like, okay, I will do this. How about 25 bucks an hour? Right? Like, I don't know. It was more than I was making down here in Florida because the wages are terrible down here. So I was thrilled about it. And then I finally decided like, wow, this is like legitimate. Like, I think I could do this. I think I could make something from this. And so that was kind of how it was born. And now here we are 9 years later. I can't even believe I'm saying that.
Yeah, and it's so wild to see even our pricing strategies develop because the first time that you have somebody that's like, you're like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'll take your money for that." It's like we always undervalue or always cut ourselves short because we don't understand that the knowledge that we've gained in those corporate experiences, not everybody has that or not everybody gets those. I call them blessings and curses, I guess, because you could not pay me enough to go back into the hotel industry. That's just not ever in my future ever again. But I learned a lot as far as like pivoting. And I think one of the things that you said that was the most important earlier was it's not rooted in emotion. So it's not an emotional response. And you're not even allowed to have those emotional responses when Joe yells at you about the bath mat in his room. You can't verbalize back, buddy, I'm not in charge of bath mats. You just have to stand there and fix the data and make a plan and get Joe his bath mat and send him on his way. So I think that those experiences are so rooted in little entrepreneurship life lessons, and it's very undervalued. But also, I look back and I'm like, golly, you could not, I would never do that again to save my life.
No, I was recently at a conference though, for those that are listening that are still working in corporate and feeling kind of down about it or one way or the other, I don't know, but I was at a conference and a woman rephrased it and she said, "View it as paid training. You're getting paid to learn the skills that you need to be a business owner, right? Like you're getting a paycheck." And the just the reframe of that statement was so powerful and I was like, "Yeah, that's essentially what we got," right? Like it truly was paid training in all of our experience and just learning and going to different classes and all the things and life experience. So I wouldn't trade it. You couldn't pay me to go back, but I wouldn't trade what it brought me and the knowledge that it.
Absolutely. I think that's a great reframe. I think that it's actually things that I don't know how other corporations do it, but I would love to see a little bit more of that. Even so, like we had a whole program that sat down and taught you about operations, about sales, about customer service. Like we had internships Marriott Corporate did where you had to have a mini hotel and navigate all of these situations. You don't get that kind of life experience or training if you're just starting as an entrepreneur.
Mm-mm.
So now if somebody yells at me, I'm like, tomato, potato. I'm gonna go to bed with my eyes closed either way, it doesn't bother me, but before it took a lot of adapting and learning because the first time a stranger really emotionally reacted to something that it wasn't my fault, I was, like, 20 years old, so I was, like, hysterically upset about it, but those are the little things that I think get sprinkled in. What do you think was your biggest takeaway from or did you have, like, a moment where you were like, "Okay, this is I've gotta go. I'm gonna open my business. I'm gonna start." Like, what kinda kicked you out of the nest?
The landscape down here for business, it was very toxic, or the job market down here. I worked for a couple of different I went from having, like, 1 job my whole life, or 2 jobs my whole life, my whole career, to moving down here and having 5 jobs in, like, 6 months, and I was like, "No, no, I'm not doing this," and I actually quit a job without another job, that it was so toxic, and that was kind of like "This is no, we don't do this, like, this is not how we do things," and so I was not going to even remotely consider that as an option anymore, the toxicity of it, there was just so much toxicity, and that was not why we moved down here. We moved down here to create a different life, to have, less so negativity and all of that, and so to go into what was like this really super happy experience of moving and, like, living out this dream to, like, live in Florida and be by the beach and all the things, to like, showing up every day to this, like, really negative situation was just not, to me, not an option. Like, I just wasn't going to tolerate that, and that was kind of the force of, like, "No, you've gotta make this work, and you're gonna figure this out, because that the alternative is not even remotely an option."
Did you have any, like, hesitation or fear? Because I feel like that's one of those big emotions that holds people back because they don't know where to start, they don't know how to open an LLC, or they feel like they need to have all of these pieces of the puzzle in place before they can take on a client, like a website, or some people even hyperfixate over a business card. So did you feel any of that, or did you kind of just say, "Nope, I gotta go," and jump the nest?
Yeah, I just jump the nest. I'm not one that, like, gets wrapped up in the details by any stretch of the imagination. I am not a perfectionist, and so I'm kind of like, jump in with both feet and let's figure it out. Life always has a way of working out. That's the way I feel about it. Like, if it was meant to be, it was meant to be. And so I did feel and get wrapped up in the noise of needing branding. And I will say I would not have done that. I know one of the questions you usually ask is like, what is something you wouldn't, your past self, but I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have hired as quickly. And so I did do that. I felt like that was the one thing I felt like I needed. Like, if you're going to do this full time, like, you got to bring in all the help. And so I just kind of was like, higher of that, like, you got to spend money to make money mindset. And I don't know that I would do that again, especially where I'm at now, of like looking at facts, looking at data, understanding like that there are so many things that are working, and just the framework that I have now and developed just through 9 years of doing this. I definitely think that I would have approached it differently. But yeah, I just kind of jumped in.
I think that's such a good important thing though, because I do think that there's things that people get fixated on. Like I spent way too much time in the beginning. I was in a job and I was like, I want to do this consulting on the side because I love it. I love systems. I love operations. I love setting up those things and kind of solving those pieces of the puzzle. But I spent this time focused on a logo. I have not used that logo a day in my life. It's not even on my website. It's not even anywhere. And I'm like, I spent time worried about the things that weren't revenue generating. I spent time focusing on doing these things that I thought was what business owners did. And then I'm like, I don't even have like an offer out there. Like, I don't even have anything to make money. So, why am I anticipating people to pay me or to bring money in when they don't know what I do, what I charge? And so, that was kind of like a pivoting moment for me that I was really focused on all the woo woo of it and not
Hmm.
anything that was going to move the needle and pay my groceries. Like groceries they don't care what branding I have when I check out at the grocery store. They have to have dollars to do so.
Exactly, exactly. And I think that's, where I spend a lot of my time now with clients is looking at like, but what are we actually doing to make money? Right. Because it's easy to get wrapped up in the creation, right? Creation is very safe. Creation is very fun. Creation is our comfort zone. And so it's easy to create. That's what we are as entrepreneurs. We're visionaries. We have all of these creative geniuses inside of us, whether it's and so getting wrapped up in creation mode feels very safe. It feels very productive. And I challenge my clients a lot on that now of like, okay, but how are you going to sell this thing? Just because you create it, you still have to sell it. There is no build it and they will come. You have to be willing to sell said thing. And if you haven't sold your other thing yet, what makes you think this is magically going to sell, right? Like the process is the same. So unless you have a lot of data, a lot of market research that can back up that you need to change said thing and create this because this is exactly what your audience is ready and waiting for, creation can be very just safe and easy and feel productive.
Do you find that some of your clientele get caught up too in like shiny object syndrome? Like everything that's newest and greatest is going to be what sends them into straight millionaire status?
Yes. That's actually, one of my big things is like the anti should, the anti, I'm like the anti shiny object syndrome. And I think too, the longer I've been in this game, the more I can spot it, right? Like I'm year 9 in my business. And so what I am seeing now too is strategies or new things that are coming out into the market that are not new. They've been around. They're just packaged differently, right? And so because we haven't heard about them in 7 years because COVID changed the landscape or whatever. And so this is a strategy that was working in 2019, 2018. All of a sudden now it's repackaged as new because here we are and it's like no, this is not new, you know what I mean? And so that's where I try to bring clients back to the facts of like what is actually working in your business. Because, like I tell everybody, every strategy works. There is a guru out there is data, there is facts out there that can prove every single one of these strategy works, but they're not all going to work for you, right? And so just because something is new, if you already have something that's working and going well, you don't need said thing, right? Like it's just going to distract you and take away from what is actually bringing in revenue and clients and all the things that you're desiring into your business. Like we don't need to jump on all the bandwagons.
Like music to my ears. And I think too right now, and I don't know what you're saying or your opinions on this, but I think right now shiny object syndrome with everything having AI has just amplified it because everything there's a new AI tool that resolves the issue for every business owner right now. And I think that getting at shiny object AI syndrome is about to send me into orbit because there's an it's not new, like you're saying, but it's all been repackaged in our CRMs, in our project management, in our I mean, ChatGPT can spit you out anything that you want, and it's gonna promise this link to Canva. I'm interested to know kind of how you feel about that.
I am like your very basic AI user. I was telling somebody the other day, I feel very old in the space right now. And I don't mean it negatively, but I'm definitely feeling like grandma vibes. You know what I mean? Cause I'm over here like, I don't need AI. Like, let's just go back to this. And I do utilize AI a lot. And AI has made me a much better strategist because it has allowed me to get my thoughts out and collectively put them into, you know what I mean? Like a way that makes sense to organize my thoughts. I definitely would not be where I am at right now without the help of AI to organize my thoughts. So I'm a huge fan of it, but I also find it to be a rabbit hole. And I think people are getting caught up in this. AI can make life easier. AI can only make life easier if you know how to utilize it, if you have the time, the energy to prompt it, to get it set up. Because I don't know, I just think overall, like, yes, I think it can be a help. And yes, it is the future. And I do think we need to embrace it. But also, if you need money right now or sales, depending on where people are at in their business, like, You need to go back to the tried and true things that are already working because AI is not going to do that for you overnight. Right. And so that's kind of where I'm at of like, let's utilize it. But also, what I'm finding is people are no longer trusting themselves. Like they've run everything through AI, everything through chat, every thought, every conversation, everything that they want to post. I catch myself doing this sometimes of like, oh, I want to put this post up. Let me just run it through AI to clean it up. And then I'm like, no, I'm not gonna clean it up. This is not how I would talk. This is not what I would say. Like, I want my most unhinged thoughts out there, and those are the ones that people usually resonate with the most. So I do think that you're going to see a shift back a little bit. It's just like any new thing, right? Everybody jumps on the bandwagon, then everybody comes back. And that's what I'm starting to see is like, no, trust yourself again. Like, we all had a lot of knowledge. We just talked about that in the beginning of this episode, right? Like, we have years and years of training under our belts. We had the ability to think for ourselves without utilizing AI for everything prior to this. And so I think that's really what I'm seeing is the need is like being able to bridge that gap of like utilizing it to help, but not allowing it to take away who you are as a person.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things in there too. Like, I get really annoyed about the little like, take this, put it in Chat GBT, put it on a printable, sell it on Etsy. You're going to be a millionaire in 10 minutes. Guys, please stop doing that. It's driving me nuts. Also, it doesn't work.
No, you still have to sell
People
the
know
thing.
it's,
People still have to
yeah, it
come
used to,
buy it.
and also everyone's doing it. They're dropping it in. It's not an original thought, whatever. And also, I think one of my biggest issues with it, granted, I love using it for, like you said, having it organize my thoughts, having it help prioritize. But people put the prompts in there and whatnot, and it's not challenging them. It's not pushing back on anything. A lot of it's just set up to agree with you. So if you want a hype person, that's great, but it's not pushing you to critically think or resolve or come up with anything new because 9 times out of 10, it's told you, Sally, and Joe the same answer because these prompts that these experts are telling you to load it in, it just is spitting out the same content. And then now we have just a constant regurgitation of chat GBT, printables, templates, Etsy templates, da 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 da, how to make $10,000 in a day. And people buy into that as an entrepreneur, not knowing that it's literally not how anything in the universe works. And it's not going to succeed. And entrepreneurship is hard
Yes.
and it's messy. And no chat GBT printable is going to pull you out of poverty in the next 20 minutes.
No, no, it's not. And even if you're utilizing it as a service provider, right? And like it's creating this offer, that offer, I just don't again, rooted in data and facts. Like let's look at like what is the market actually telling us? What do you like to sell? What do you like to how do you best show up? Right? Because that's what sells. It what sells is what you feel good about selling, what you feel confident in selling. If you can talk about it like the best thing is when somebody says to you like, "Wow, you're so passionate about that." Like look at the way your whole body changes, right? You can't get that from something that chat's created, right? There has to be some level of internal validation as well to get to that place of confidence and excitement. And again, chat or any AI can help to bring it to life in a faster way, but it's still up to you to do the selling. And if you're not confident in it and you don't feel lit up by it, you're not going to sell it.
Yes, amen. Well, so tell us a little bit about, as we kind of wrap up here, what are some of the offers that you have currently? What are you passionate about? What are you currently selling? So if somebody's listening to this episode and they're like, my goodness, I need a little bit more strategy, what do you have coming down the pipeline or established already?
Yeah, so I switched all my offers to Evergreen, which was probably one of my best decisions that I've made for me. It's not for everybody, but a couple years ago, I created a framework. It's called the Focus Visionary Framework, and it is the basis of every single thing I do now. And so it's 8 steps with three core pillars around pricing, pipeline, and sales, right? Is your pricing in alignment? Do you have a pipeline that you know how to move people through? And what is your selling process, right? So those are kind of the three core pillars to it. And then there's some other pieces involved, obviously, around data and understanding facts and whatnot. And so, with that, I have two offers. I've got a VIP day or like a VIP intensive. It's a 2 day, which I just launched out this year, and I Love it. But I'm a fast mover. I love it. Like, I love that fast action, getting in 2 days, like, just seeing the transformation in 2 days of, like, going from, like, a 1 out of 5 on different things to, like, a 4 or a 5 out of 5. I was just it's so good, but again, it's not for everybody. You've gotta be willing, you've gotta be able to process information, make quick decisions, whatever. So I have that, and then I also have a 12-month, group program container, which is my signature offer. It's the one I've had for several years. It's called the Focus Visionary Accelerator, and that I will never, never stop being excited about that because I just love the group aspect of it. I love seeing them come together. I love seeing them support each other. I love seeing them just succeed. And again, they're all following a framework, but they're all implementing it differently, but yet experiencing the same things, because at the end of the day, business is business, right? Like, we all go through it. We all go through these same hurdles. So I was anti-group program for, gosh, the first 5 years of my business, at least, probably 6. And now I can't imagine not having it. But again, it's just I found a way that works for me and a structure that feels good. And so those are my 2 main offers, as far as strategy is concerned.
I think that you said something so important there too, because like I was actually anti-group program for a hot minute. And then now, like we were talking about earlier, we were extroverted when we made all these plans. And now it's like, who was I? I'm peopled out. Well, now I'm in all these like networking groups and all these different things. And I'm like, it does fill my cup, but this is the year to kind of get back on that journey and kind of reconnect with people and bring it back to what it used to be and all started before COVID and work from home and you couldn't see anybody and you were locked in your house. And I started that this year. So TBD. I'm liking it so far, but it's definitely a new pivot of the whole journey because it's a little intimidating too. Because there's people on different levels of business, some with major expertise, some that paid somebody $700 to start their LLC and it costs $40. So it's like a wide range of entrepreneurship. But I think at the end of the day, having that connection is the most important part.
Yeah, we're not built to do things alone, right? And so even the most introverted of people can benefit from being in a group, even if they're just like we have a group chat and I have several members that never engage in it, never send messages, but they read it, right? And like that in them is just them being able to see and hear the conversation, even though they're not engaging, they're still benefiting so much from it because they're just processing it on their own time. And I think again, you have to find the space that feels safe for you and feels where comfortable, but there is a lot of power in connection, in community when done correctly.
Yes. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for being here today. I am super excited to promote your program in the show notes for one and kind of send people your way and just continue to stay connected on this journey because, girl, it's only February. It is only February.
It's only
We got a
February.
lot more. And we got a lot more 2026 to live, so
Yes.
stay tuned for all of that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It
Yeah.
was such a pleasure.
Yes, thank you for being here.